Today, we're going to talk about the future of work 2021 and beyond, with a special focus on remote maintenance, remote inspection in 2021. There's a lot going on here. So let's get going. At this time, I'm going to turn the time over to RealWear's Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer, Andrew Chrostowski. Andrew, over to you.
Thanks, Grover, and welcome everyone. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. That's a quote from William Gibson in The Economist back from 2003. I think it rings even more true today than it did then. 2020 has been a year that's challenged all of us. What we've learned from our customers reinforces what former Intel CEO Andy Grove said about crisis. Bad companies are destroyed by crisis. Good companies survive them. Great companies are improved by them. In this seminar, we'd like to share with you some insights on what those improvements are and the solutions we see contributing to the commercial success now and on the other side of the pandemic. RealWear is an important part of this transformation. We focus on engaging, empowering, and elevating the most essential element of the enterprise, the frontline and first line worker. But first, let's talk a little bit about RealWear before we jump into the survey. RealWear has been around for about a little over 4.5 years. We have over 3,000 enterprise global customers, and we partner with over 200 ISVs and other established companies in providing an ecosystem of support for our hardware and software. To date, we've sold over 37,000 units, and we employ about 100 people today. Our solutions span over 50 industry verticals that you see represented here on the slide next to you. During the next little bit, we'll share some montages from those verticals and go in detail on some of the solutions provided by ourselves and our partners to see how value is being created in this new digitally connected worker world. This is the first of several videos we'll show you, and we'll go into this first. Inspection of rail group. This is part of Österreich Bundesbahn inspection of rail cars. The application is Space One by Over IT. Our next example is Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company, operating in multiple Eastern European locations. This picking application by Ubamax, also a reseller of RealWear, recently was acquired by TeamViewer. The key here is that pallet level picking is improved by over 20%. Our customer here is Bascom Idesa in Mexico, the largest polypropylene plant in the Americas. RealWear's partner is Honeywell Process Solutions. In life sciences, our customer Apprentice is specializing in biopharma manufacturing support, working on COVID vaccine rapid manufacturing and scale-up. In dairy farming, Cisco WebEx has supported the largest milk cooperative in the USA. Hirschman Automotive, will see a deeper example of them later in this webinar. Our final example, TechSmart Chemicals, the refinery of the future. Partners are CB Technology and PTC ThingWorks. Key here is the worker is able to climb a rail car and do audits before the petrochemicals are shipped out by rail, a process 80% faster with the HMT-1Z1. No need for separate intrinsically safe cameras and 100% hands-free. In Norway, Joda Pro is using to support remote doctors as they supervise administration of morphine to a child, a function that this second level paramedic cannot do on their own. There are many other solutions available to our 50+ industries, and our partners work with the best providers in the world to enable the future of work. And now let's go into the survey results for 2020 for the 2020 survey. First, a little bit about the demographics. Our customers are represented fairly equally between the Americas and Europe, with a good proportion of our Asia Pacific group. We had almost 200 respondents, balanced between office, field, and factory support. And the actual individual respondents worked in either the executive roles, management, or frontline work. And you can see industry-wise, manufacturing, oil and gas, telecommunications, field service, and automotive are well represented. The first question really went to how COVID-19 has changed the way we work. And we see that, that this idea of telepresence and collaboration remotely is almost ubiquitous here in today's post-COVID world. As Satya Nadella said during the Microsoft conference, COVID-19 has seen 2 years of digital transformation in little over 2 months. And that's only been continuing as we've looked at adaptations to the crisis here as the rest of the year has gone by. And we see all of our customers treating this as a catalyst to bring on and accelerate programs that may have already wanted to bring, but didn't have to go through some of the justifications as things went from being a pull into a pull culture as they couldn't support their customers without the HMT-1 and this digital transformation. Central to what RealWear does, COVID-19 accelerated connected work. The idea that we extend this concept of telepresence to the frontline and first-line workers to give them the same advantages enjoyed by people in the office or at their working from home has made a big difference in able to create productivity. And we've seen some significant productivity increases in our customers, which is reflected in the next slide. Ultimately, hope abounds for the future work. We're very optimistic, and our customers are, that they have solutions that will help them to thrive in a post-pandemic world. One of the things we've seen is that collaboration has become newly defined and more omnipresent in a post-COVID world, and we don't see any indication of that changing on the other side of the pandemic. And again, this level of collaboration and cross-functional support extending to the frontline worker has created a great deal of productivity increases, and our survey results indicate that.
Navigate procedure. Next. Next. Activate camera. Call support.
Hi, how can I help you?
There's a pressure problem in plant 99. Can you send me the schematics?
You should bypass the flow by closing valve 11.
Record video. Preview.
That was an example from one of our customers, Ital Gas. And now all those examples I'd like to emphasize are actual deployments and solutions, not pilot programs. To talk more about these types of solutions, I'd now like to introduce RealWear's co-founder and president, Sanjay Jawar, to give further insights into the new culture of frontline work. Sanjay?
Thank you, Andrew, and great to be with you all today. So what I'd like to cover in this section is what we've observed happening across the world in industries of many types in this new world that we live in, where the pandemic has required companies to operate differently. And we think this adds up to an actual new culture for frontline work. And so I'm going to address 3 themes in this section: connectivity, continuity, and culture. And let's start with the first one, connectivity. So what happened when this pandemic hit is in many of our businesses, connectivity was broken by the virus, symbolized by this graphic on the left. And in fact, the first job that we have to do is to reconnect those broken chains. And so as we looked from our survey, we saw that COVID-19 has accelerated the connected worker program at companies. 75% of respondents had agreed with that point in the survey. Really what we've been able to do through technologies like remote hands-free collaboration is reconnect vendors to the factory so that they can come in and do their factory acceptance tests or their commissioning programs when they can't travel and fly their people into the customer site. We've been able to reconnect field service to the customer. If you can't get your field service technicians out to those facilities, then how will you actually deliver field service? You can do it remotely with collaboration. Also being able to reconnect the master to the apprentice. Businesses still need to train first-line workers that are just coming out of school and getting started, and typical apprenticeships can take 2 to 5 years, depending on the industry. And if the apprentice cannot physically shadow an expert technician, then we need another way to enable that workforce, particularly with the changing demographics in many industries like oil and gas. And finally, connectivity that is broken can actually break the revenue chain for customers who depend on formal customer acceptance processes in order to get paid when you commission a new piece of equipment. Typically, people are flown in to manage the customer acceptance, and that can't happen anymore. So this is critical. It's the first order of business before we can move on, to the next step.
Wir sind hier am Standort Regensburg. Hier werden die Inbetriebssetzungen unserer Lokomotiven durchgeführt und es werden auch die Kundenabnahmen abgewickelt. Ich habe heute ein neues Innovationsthema mitgebracht, nämlich die virtuelle Abnahme unserer Lokomotiven ausgerichtet für den Kunden. Als Werkzeug dafür haben wir eben hier diese virtuelle Datenbrille im Einsatz. Wir haben die in der letzten Zeit ausentwickelt und haben jetzt schon einen betrieblichen Reifegrad dafür erreicht. Start Video. Die virtuelle Abnahme bedeutet, der Kunde ist nicht vor Ort im Werk, sondern der Kunde ist in einen Remote-Kreis eingebunden. Der Remote-Kreis besteht aus den Geschäftspartnern. Diese stehen im Informationsaustausch und sind digital verknüpft. Der Kunde schaut auf den Bildschirm in seinem Office und prüft die empfangene Information, welche im Werk vom Muster der Abnahme aufgenommen wird.
Wir schauen uns jetzt die Pantow-Schleifleiste von unserem Wechselstromabnehmer genau an.
Die Informationssammlung erfolgt technisch über die Kamera der Datenbrille. Die Verteilung der Information schafft die auf der Datenbrille installierte App. Diese App schickt die Daten in eine Videokonferenz. Start Call. Über das Display der Brille verfolgt der Feldingenieur die Aufnahme. Mittels Sprachsteuerung werden der Brille die Systembefehle gegeben. My Programs. Select Item 3. Der Kunde im Remote-Kreis gibt zu seiner Wahrnehmung Rückmeldung an den Feldingenieur vor Ort. Die Kommunikation erfolgt über das eingebaute Mikro und den Lautsprecher in der Datenbrille.
So now let's address continuity, by which we mean digital continuity. So the survey said collaboration at my company has greatly improved since COVID-19. 55% agreed with that statement. When we think about business continuity, we're thinking about two things. Making sure we have a system in place that can rapidly resolve a disruption in a key business process, whether that's manufacturing or field service or any other type of core business process. And we're also thinking about building a resilience to risks, so that if the risk is staff getting sick by contracting COVID, of course, that's something we should be very concerned about from an employee well-being perspective. But equally, if our staff aren't available, then we have a business continuity risk. Can we interact with staff in the front line without having them together. Remote collaboration tools very much help with that. Can we also proactively manage supplier risks? For example, if I'm a railroad taking delivery of a locomotive, I want to manage my supplier risk. I want to make sure my supplier is ready to deliver. They haven't had to cut any corners because of issues they may be facing, and I can expect it ahead of time. And we can also move towards digital delivery of key services like IT support. We had a case with Shell in the Netherlands, one of our customers, where an oil terminal in Germany went down because of an IT issue. The IT vendor, which was in Belgium, was not able to travel because of the pandemic. This put about a quarter of Germany's fuel oil supply at risk. But by being able to resolve the situation remotely over video collaboration, that was avoided, and the critical business continuity risk was retired. And of course, all of these systems do need to work with tremendous IT security because new digital systems without IT security in themselves can become business continuity challenges. And so everything that we do certainly has IT security at the forefront. And so now let's look at another video.
Honeywell is a technology company. We believe that we need to always be on the leading edge. We're bringing every product to the market faster to improve everyone's life. We build the products and they have to be tested. Before COVID, would have a couple hundred engineers all in a facility to do this factory acceptance test. As we went into COVID-19 lockdowns, we couldn't get the engineers here anymore. We just couldn't do it. With the use of Teams and RealWear, we don't have to have everyone in the same location.
The ability for a first-line worker to be at a task, hands-free, reach out to an expert, and they can work through the problem together. And that saves a tremendous amount of time, eliminates travel, and resolves the problem more quickly.
The first-line worker gets down there with the camera to share what the person's seeing at site with the engineers back in the lab.
They can actually follow through the instructions which is guided to them.
So it gives them access to information, much like a pilot looks down at his instruments and then back up into reality.
Everyone else is witnessing, checking, signing off a document. It didn't matter if they were in South Korea, Germany, get everybody connected.
This is actually a game changer. It reduces the time to get the solutions.
It's a bridge between inside of Honeywell and it's a bridge to their customers.
If Teams and wearables hadn't been available, we would have extended our test by months, expanded our cost drastically, which would have put a drastic impact on our customers.
A part plant that's shut down can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. With an HMT-1, you've turned your 24-hour downtime to a 20-minute downtime, and that is a huge impact on business.
We have maintained in the Americas every project that we had scheduled during the COVID crisis.
We've been going on this collective journey to the new normal, and thanks to our partnership of RealWear, Microsoft, and Honeywell, it's also the future of industrial work, and that's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
I believe what we've proven is that we can now do this a better way. We're looking forward to the next steps and how we can even take this to another level.
A key quote there was during the pandemic, where they were able to keep every one of their projects on schedule. And that would not have been possible without the use of these tools, without the HMT-1, and in this particular case, Microsoft Teams. So really, talk about business continuity, it's proven to be effective. So when we put these things together, I submit that what we really have is a transformation in the culture of frontline work. Let's look at our survey. 67% of respondents said they were more hopeful about the future of work. And 57% of respondents said that COVID-19 had accelerated digital transformation at their companies. When we put this together and look at what has happened and where we are now and what we're going to do going into 2021, we have this new culture established. Remote workforce is the new normal. We've all become power users of collaboration tools. We know more than just how to do a video call. We know how to share. We know how to build business processes. We know how to use the advanced features. We know how to do project planning remotely. We know how to manage our customer risks and our supplier risks. We're building resilience into the fabric of our business operations so that the next time there's a challenge, another pandemic, a third wave or a fourth wave or a wildfire or an earthquake or whatever the world may throw at us, our businesses will have systematically improved our capacity to respond to these challenges by being more resilient. Along the way, our cost of operations have also reduced. Of course, we're saving on travel, but we're also increasing efficiencies. Businesses have a stance now where they're able to conserve cash, either as a reserve for the next challenge or as an opportunity to invest into the things that will come next, into 2021 and beyond, where that we now have accomplished, in many cases, the foundational digital transformation. We can take advantage of it and actually build new business and new opportunities and new revenue streams and new capabilities. So now let's take a look at another video, this one from our customer, Hirschman Automotive, in partnership with Cisco and the WebEx Expert on Demand. And this is really oriented towards future digital transformation.
With the help of data glasses, we can be much faster in solving problems. It enables that people go to the shop floor, see the problem, hands-free, and enable the sharing of the subject with their colleague who can sit in a completely different location, like they would be next to each other in front of a machine.
When we did the proof of concept and showed them the first live video feed through the web export to the helmet, we could see in their eyes that they thought, okay, now this is the future.
Hirschman Automotive has been a well-known automotive supplier for the last 60 years. We have a global organization, which means that our experts are also located around the globe. Reaching our facilities is really important in many cases. Imagine we have an issue in a machine in China and our expert is located, let's say, in Varco in Austria. It will take us at least 3 days until he's on the spot. The good thing about digitalization and Industry 4.0 is it offers an enormous amount of new innovative technologies. The issue, however, for individual companies is who I can work with in order to implement the right technology for my use case, for my specific problem.
We therefore approached our partner entity to do a co-innovation project on this. We identified that the Cisco Expert on Demand in combination with the RealWear data glasses are the perfect solution for us.
Having Cisco Remote Expert on Demand running on this data glass allows us to seamlessly integrate this data glass into our already existing collaboration platform, the Cisco WebEx platform, and therefore it's very easy for our users to use this tool as an add-on.
Data glasses are adding an additional dimension to the collaboration platform. We can engage and involve specialists, workers, to discuss and work together on certain subjects thousands of miles away. That's the big advantage that we have using augmented reality.
This project was a perfect example that a very trustful and long-term relationship with a partner like Entity can help us to identify solutions on the market that we don't know about.
With these devices, it makes us more efficient. We avoid travel costs and we are much faster.
So in hindsight, I could say that we were really early adopters of this technology.
Using the opportunity of open innovations, inviting suppliers, technology experts, define your use cases and develop solutions together. Those solutions are so new that they are also not mature yet. And the earlier you move there, the more you can influence how the final solution will look like.
Great collaboration with both Cisco and NTT Limited as the system integrator. So the connectivity imperative that we looked at really helps us reconnect those broken chains and facilitate knowledge transfer to address productivity, quality, and demographic changes in the workforce as the older generation starts to retire. We then move from that to business continuity, which is about keeping our operations running, keeping our manufacturing running, keeping field service running in the face of various challenges. And finally, that adds up to a new culture where coming out of this, and hopefully as we go into next year and we get this pandemic under control and the world gets vaccinated, we're ready for more than just business recovery, clearing the backlog, but actually changing our stance towards growth and new opportunity enabled by all this digital transformation, some of it done by necessity. So this new culture really does allow us to build a platform for new innovations. Let me give some examples. These examples that I'm going to talk about here are about digital enablement of field service. So the first one is from our customer Kronos. Kronos is the largest manufacturer of beverage packaging equipment, whether that is polyester blow molded bottles or beer and soda cans. Their customers are the large beverage and beer manufacturers around the world. High volume equipment in manufacturing, high value of downtime if that equipment stops running. Kronos has created a branded service offering called Argos. And this branded service offering is something that customers pay extra for. So it's a revenue stream for Kronos, and it's based on the HMT-1 and software from one of our partners. And what this allows Kronos to do is reduce the downtime for their customers by bringing a remote expert on the line over video, increase the number of field service calls that a single technician can do per day, increase customer satisfaction, and generate net new revenue for doing it. It's really a wonderful combination of a new line of business that is a win-win-win for them and the customer, enabled by this type of transformation. Our customer Palfinger, it's a global company based in Austria. Palfinger makes specialized lifting equipment that go on the back of vehicles. So if you look at the top picture there, you see a crane on the back of a large truck that's designed to lift a boat out of the water. So this is the sort of type of equipment that Palfinger has, all types of different lifting equipment for vehicles. They created a branded service offering called Palfinger Smart Eye. Same idea, remote service desk for a technician, video enabled, also a premium service offering from them to their customer, much like Kronos delivers benefits to the customer and to Palfinger all at the same time. The third one is National Orwell Varco, or NOV, which is an oilfield services company. Their version of this is called Tracker Vision, and it's done in collaboration with our software partner, LibreStream, long time, very successful partner that RealWear works with. And the technician for NOV is typically in an offshore location, either on a drilling ship, as shown in the picture, or a drilling rig. And they're often doing things like servicing and maintaining drill pipe welding equipment. So as you feed a pipe down the well, you have to weld on more bits of pipe as it goes deeper and deeper. The machine that does that is made and operated and serviced by National Orwell Varco. And in some cases, these video calls are accomplished over satellite links from the middle of the North Sea, for which the LibreStream solution works extremely well. So we're seeing multiple companies, and there are others, Lindigo and a few more, that are digital transformation, net new revenue streams enabled by these platforms, innovative choices for these companies and their customers as they go forward. We can look back at this year and we can see a number of significant companies who started before the pandemic and were in position to accelerate rapidly through the pandemic, and now have come out, largely starting to come out the other side with new digital initiatives. Honeywell, as we saw in the video, Mars Pet Food in 14 manufacturing plants in the United States, they've concluded that on a long-term going forward basis, they can reduce the amount of travel for their engineering support staff to the factory by more than 40%. They're not going to go back to the level of travel that they had before, even when there is no pandemic. Shell, as we heard about, had one of the incidents was related to the IT outage in the German fuel terminal, but there are many other use cases in refining and in upstream that Shell has been able to put into place this year and last year. Very much companies that were ready were able to accelerate quickly. But if we go to the next slide, companies that started post-pandemic were also able to move quickly. All of these examples are companies that started their journey after March of this year. And in as little as 3 months to 6 months, they were able to go from a standing start to full commercial usage and put their capabilities in place quickly and use them in mission critical situations. Siemens Energy, for example, in the production of steam turbines. Renault Trucks, with our partner Librestream again, in the servicing of commercial vehicles. Heat and Control, a key vendor for the food industry, makes the large industrial scale baking and frying machines for example, snack food manufacturer, able to service and install and commission their equipment in their customers. Prysmian Group, we have a press release today. Prysmian Group is one of the largest manufacturers of telecom and power cables for utilities. And they're able to do their customer commissioning, their customer acceptance, and their factory acceptance tests with HMT-1. So it no longer takes years to get these capabilities in place. It takes months, in some cases weeks, to get to the business benefit and the operational maturity of solutions like these. So we talked a lot about the use case of video collaboration, which we call Remote Mentor at RealWear. And we've been working on this for many years with many partners, but we've really reached a moment where it's scaled. The largest 3 players in the collaboration industry all support hands-free collaboration, in many cases with specially produced software on our types of devices. This isn't the only use case, of course. It's just the first one that is scaled. We actually talk about typically 5 use cases that we see very common across almost all industries. Remote Mentor that we've described, but also Visual Assist, which is about capturing training information, using the camera, creating a video-based standard operating procedure, turning that into training material for other people. We have examples where the creation of standard operating procedures can be done 10 times faster using video capture and video editing to turn it into training material. That was achieved by Global Foundries, a large semiconductor manufacturer, with software from our partner PTC. Digital workflow, which is the step-by-step instructions. Step 1, on a maintenance procedure, do this. Step 2, do that. See it in the display, follow along hands-free whilst using tools to do so very safely. We really see this case expanding. It has a few flavors: standalone work instructions that come from enterprise asset management systems or asset performance management systems from SAP and IBM and other large players. And we see that lead customers now are beginning to scale out this use case. Document navigation is about being able to look at the technical documentation necessary to operate your factory or your equipment hands-free whilst using tools to follow wiring diagrams or mechanical diagrams or simply troubleshooting guides, making great use of information that already exists and contextualizing it in the context of a piece of equipment. And IoT data visualization is looking at the data feeds from plant and equipment and visualizing, if you like, a small piece of the control room right on the display when the technician is standing in front of the equipment. And there we work with lead partners like Iconics and OSI Soft and PTC ThingWorks and a few others. And we have a number of these types of use cases deployed too. And so in 2021, we think we're going to see use cases beyond remote mentor scale. And the digital transformation initiatives that Remote Mentor was the catalyst for can now be built upon for these other use cases, and they will, as a result, go faster in our estimation. We don't do this alone. RealWear works with a broad ecosystem of truly heroic companies that have all together risen to the challenge of enabling digital transformation for our mutual customers in many use cases in many countries around the world. This is just a selection of some of these software partners that we work with in our ecosystem. We're very proud to be partnered with all of these companies here, and there are more. There are more than one can fit on a slide. So if you don't see your name there, we apologize in advance, but you can see a longer list on our website. And each of these companies has real commercial deployments in different industries with us. And we think that in aggregate, there are more tools than ever before to go fast to realize the benefits of digital transformation. Thank you to all of our partners. I think this is the end of the presentation. We have plenty of time left over for Q&A, but before we get to the Q&A, I just wanted to leave you with a couple of follow-up points. Number one, if you've never seen these things before and you'd like to see them remotely, given our current situation, please contact us at the link shown to schedule a remote demo. And if you're a little further in your journey and you really want to get deeper training and certification, we can do that too, realwear.com/training. So with that, we'd like to really open it up to your questions. I think we have some that came in the chat, some that we received earlier. And I'll hand back to Grover to help tee up the questions for us. And thank you so much for listening to Andrew and I today.
Thank you very much. We have quite a few questions here, probably more than we can answer. There are several hundred people who registered for this, in fact, almost 1,000. So the first question I have here is, will the post-COVID drop back? So, we've asserted here, you guys have asserted that there's a permanent change. Why is this a permanent change? I think this is the best question back for Andrew, is why is this really permanent? Why is this just, hey, we get a vaccine and everything's back to normal?
Over, and thanks to whoever asked it. When we talk to our customers and we touch those who have implemented these solutions, we find that they've discovered through this crisis ways of removing friction from transactions they were doing with their customers that created and released value. And what they're seeing is the ease of what they're able to do that, the value they're able to create is greater than any need to go back to the way things were done before. In fact, we've had several of our customers, Shell among them, who have clearly said, we're not going to go back to the way we worked previously. This is just too much of a gain in productivity. It's too much of a gain in customer support. And as Sanjay pointed out in his presentation, they've created new revenue streams where these concierge white glove service offerings create revenue, lower their costs, and increase their customer satisfaction. So this idea of retaining the value they've discovered during this pandemic is going to continue in a post-pandemic world as we all go forward to work together. Thank you.
I think this is a question for Sanjay. There were a couple of mentions of intrinsically safe. What does intrinsically safe mean? Why is that important in some of these environments?
Yes, thanks for that question. Intrinsically safe refers to a type of certification for the device itself that means that it is able to be used in potentially explosive atmospheres. Potentially explosive atmospheres commonly occur in oil and gas, in refining and chemicals production, whether it's in drilling and upstream, or it's in downstream refining, or even in midstream, which is transportation. They also occur in pharmaceutical manufacturing, where there are a lot of solvents. They sometimes occur in places like auto body shops, paint shops, I should say, in manufacturing. Again, you have a lot of solvents. These are places where you can't take normal consumer electronic devices because there is some risk that they could cause an ignition event and then cause a large explosion. And so the types of devices that you're allowed to take into those special zones are called intrinsically safe, because even if they have a fault condition, such as a battery short circuit, which is probably the worst case fault that could occur, they are incapable, they've been engineered to be incapable of producing an ignition event in those situations. So RealWear has an intrinsically safe certified product. It's called the RealWear HMT-1Z1 or 1Z1. It conforms to ATEX Zone 1 and CSA Class 1 Division 1, and there's an IECEX standard. Those of you who are in this industry will know what those means. It's a very high level of certification. I still believe it's the only one in the world head-mounted device that's intrinsically safe. And we have a lot of oil, gas, chemical, and pharmaceutical customers because of that.
Thank you. There's another question for Andrew. There were a couple of mentions of aging demographics. Tell us how that dovetails in with this work of the future, and not just the devices, but what's really going on there.
Great question. In fact, we see it in a couple different ways. In the oil and gas industry, this is referred to as the great crew change. We just have the demographics of baby boomer generations aging out and retiring and being replaced by younger generations. Now, the issue with that is all of the tribal knowledge is moving out with these retiring workers. So we get a double win by implementing a connected worker strategy. Number one, we're able to connect those experts remotely to those new employees to be able to get them trained up faster and be able to do work in a more meaningful way, more productively, more safely. But we're also able to achieve knowledge transfer by giving those experienced workers an HMT-1, letting them run these processes they do. Maybe they don't happen that often. They're changing a bearing, they're replacing a motor. When they do that, they can simply say, start video, talk about what they're doing, and they create a video with an eye view of what's being done that is easily curated and turned into a training video, which is easily consumed at the point of use or for training by next generation workers who are in fact trained by YouTube now to look for bite-sized information videos that show them how to do things. So we're getting the knowledge transfer, we're getting improvements in training, and we're getting improvements in confidence of those workers who now have access to an expert when they need it, or an update in the video instructions before they start a task. And so this connected worker is benefiting the companies by making them more productive more quickly and putting a bank of this knowledge transfer inside before they lose it in their retiring generations. It's a great question.
Thank you. Sanjay, I think this is a question for you. You showed a lot of people in your videos roaming about outside. What's the connectivity like? What are the different options and how are they getting connected?
Yeah, very good question. And definitely what I would say is, I would say to a lot of customers, the first step in digital transformation is having a network where you need it. There are certain things you can do with no network, like any other type of tablet device where you have offline functionality and local storage, and we do too. But many of the use cases require network connectivity. Our device is a Wi-Fi device, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So you can certainly connect directly to an enterprise Wi-Fi network. That's very common in manufacturing. In outside situations where there is no Wi-Fi network, you can connect the Wi-Fi to a hotspot. That hotspot can be a portable hotspot that you carry around, a MiFi or Jetpack or similar, that's broadcasting Wi-Fi from the cellular connection, or it could be your phone in hotspot mode at the cost of some battery life in your phone. We do also have a attachable LTE modem. This doesn't work with the intrinsically safe version, but it does work with the regular version. It's essentially a USB dongle that you would plug into your PC. We have a way of mounting it on the side with a little clip and connecting it through the USB cable to our device and powering it from the battery inside the HMT-1. So in combination, it's a self-contained device with its own LTE connection. We have quite a few people using that solution. In various marine and offshore locations, we do have users using satellite modems that broadcast Wi-Fi. Typically, BGAN or VSAT are the options there if you're into satellite connectivity. That's kind of expensive, but if you really have a need, it does work. And so I think that the longer answer is talk to our team. We have a strong team of solution engineers around the world that can really help you think through the connectivity options.
Okay, thank you. There are probably 36 questions in here about when are we going to roll out a new product roadmap? When are we going to talk about new features? That's outside the scope of today's session. Here's what I will tell you. We're going to be holding a couple of communications events as early in Q1 as we can to get all of our partners up to speed of what's happened in the last year, technical roadmaps, that sort of thing. So we will get back to you individually with your questions and answers. But for all the people asking about individual product features, we've got a lot of updates coming. There's another question here, Sanjay, if you could give kind of a quick answer to, is it available in India?
Yes, it is. We have both resellers in India. We have our own sales management located in India. We have RealWear actually has an office in Bangalore where we do a lot of test engineering, software QA, as well as technical support. A really fantastic team, actually, a very high performance team that we're super proud of. And so, yeah, please contact us in India. If somebody wants to send us a message afterwards, or if we can identify who did it in the chat, we'll answer privately with contact information for our India sales organization. And we have great customers in India, including one that I'd love to just briefly showcase is RVUNL. This is the regional utility, government-owned power utility in Rajasthan, a major energy producer, a major HMT customer in India, and we have many more.
Okay, I've got time for just a couple more questions. Andrew, can you quantify some of the efficiency gains? We talked about different industries have different efficiency gains, and that those, in some cases, they're almost a surprise. You know, the miracle is we can keep working, but then they found out that it's more productive. Can you drill into that a little bit?
Sure. It's, you know, the best way to look at that is to explore our website a little bit, to look at the individual case studies. But the kinds of productivity enhancements we see, you know, range from 80% down to 40 to 20% efficiencies that they gain. It really depends on the friction that's in the particular process that we're able to remove through having a hands-free voice-controlled product. So it's situations where you have to refer to documentation, where you have to do a workflow. Those are where you see some really big gains in efficiency. And it's not surprising that when you have a downtime situation in terms of doing a repair and a turnaround, single minute replacement of die, et cetera, those kinds of situations with an HMT-1 and a remote expert, create a lot of efficiency. But you can see some quantified actual use cases on our website, and I'd refer anyone to there to get the specifics.
Thank you. And I've got, like I said, I've just got time. I know there's people still typing questions, and I've only got time for a couple more. Sanjay, this is back to you. I'm gonna combine two questions. So try to get them individually. One is on the technical side. It's people saying, we want to build something around this. We want to get started. What is the real time to take it? And then I'll warn you what question number two is. There are at least three questions here for, do we have a sales toolkit? Do we have sales materials, which is the twin of, I've got to build it and then I've got to sell it. So can you dig into, how long does it take to build and how do I get started? And then do we have sales materials?
All right, so addressing the building an application. So the first thing to say is there are about 200 existing applications. So many people have been through this process and there are many solutions available. If you're a software company and you'd like to build a new hands-free application, voice controlled for the HMT-1, the place to start is developer.realwear.com. And developer.realwear.com, you can easily download, all kinds of clear technical information about how to take advantage of things like voice control, some user interface tips. You don't really need to know anything about voice recognition to develop a voice-controlled application on an HMT-1. It's more like markup language than it is, code. So I think of it as a low-code approach with our unique technology called wearable. You can develop applications in all kinds of development environments, Android Studio, but also Unity, Cordova, Xamarin. You can develop HTML5 applications that are hosted on the server side with voice navigation, lots of ways to do it. Beyond that, we have the RealWear Academy. So we've run, I think, 4 or 5 of these now. They're small group sessions done remotely. They're about 9 hours of content delivered over three sessions of 3 hours each, typically early evening, depending on the time zone. And we typically have 20 to 35 people, so we can really have some good interaction and good questions. Our engineering team participates in it, and that's the best way in a short amount of time to get up to speed on HMT development. Now, answering the second question, which I think was more about the sort of sales toolkit, we do have a set of partner programs for resellers. Some software companies become resellers of our hardware, some don't. You don't have to resell the hardware to be a software provider. We have other resellers too, but there's definitely enablement for sales channels. There's marketing materials. There's things that we do on our website for lead generation. We co-sell in many cases. It could be a partner that leads us into a customer, or we could lead the partner into a customer. Both work, or we do both. We're a great company to partner with. We love partnering with other companies, and we will respect your customer relationships. If you brought us a customer, we'll respect that that's your customer. So a long answer, but again, reach out to us, and we have our regional teams around the world that will engage with you on a commercial basis.
Thank you very much. And we're going to have one more question. Before I go to that last question, I'd like to remind people this event has been recorded. There were hundreds of attendees. I'm really sorry we can't get to all your questions. We will get to them. We're going to distribute the questions to the field. Experts are going to answer your questions, and we're going to make sure that everybody gets what they want. To support what Sanjay said about the sales materials, we will be holding a very, very broadly inclusive set of partner virtual summits as early in the year as we can. I can't promise January, but I can promise Q1. We're going to have partner summits where we get everybody up to date on what's going on, product roadmap, sales material, market conditions, and everything. It will be virtual, but we may even buy you lunch. And now I've said that live on the air. So at this point, I'm going to ask the last question. This question's for Andrew. You talked a lot about industries. You said 50 plus industries. What's new? What do you expect to happen in 2021 that hasn't already fully developed? What's over the horizon here?
Yeah, I think there's two industries that jump out to me that really are lagging in the digital transformation, but have tremendous promise for it. Number one would be agriculture. We start seeing some of the autonomous vehicles and the data mapping and the analytics applied to, the most fundamental problem humanity has, which is food. And the other area I think that's going to be a major change will be construction. Not only the management of the construction projects, the same kind of on-site inspection, but also the collaboration with customers, with architects, with other companies. So those two areas, agriculture and construction, I think are going to be big changes in 2021.
Thank you very much. We're going to end this event in just a minute. I'm going to give Sanjay and Andrew a chance to make a couple of wrap-up comments, but we thank you very much for attendance today. This event's been recorded, and we really need and enjoy the comfort of the relationships we have with partners. This makes this market work, and what really matters is that the end customers are getting solutions that help their businesses not only survive COVID, but thrive in the future. So this is a long-term change. At this time, I'm going to let Sanjay make a couple of closing comments, and then we'll go to Andrew to wrap it up. Sanjay?
Yeah, I think this has been an incredible year. Many challenges for all of us, of course, as we all know. We've been privileged to be able to help customers through these challenges. RealWear has operated internally remotely since March. I haven't traveled anywhere since March the 20th. I think, like many of us, I used to spend 60% of my time on the road. We've all learned how to do this. I'm very proud that RealWear has almost tripled our business in 2020, and I think that's a result of the focus now on digital transformation, the recognition that it's real, it can be used for mission critical situations, it can be done at scale. Going into 2021, we're super excited about new solutions, new use cases, new partners, different industries and different customers and applications. I know there were a lot of questions about roadmap, and we generally don't pre-announce products in events like this, but let's just say that we maintain a robust R&D effort at RealWear and have filed many patents, and you can definitely expect us to innovate in 2021 and beyond. We're just not in the habit of disclosing it until the time is right. But thank you to all of the customers, partners, and other participants in our ecosystem. We couldn't be involved in this industry without all of your help, and we're privileged to serve all of you, and we will continue to do so. And you can always reach out to Andrew or I directly, in the situation that you think demands our immediate attention.
Thank you. Andrew, over to you.
Thank you, Grover, and thank you, Sanjay, for a great job describing our solutions to everyone here today. I want to thank all of you, first of all, for your attention today and sticking with us. As Grover said, we'll get information out to you. We're here to help. I'd only wrap up by saying that we live now in a world where these physical biological and digital systems are all extremely complicated and interacting. And we find that really failure is almost guaranteed, and resilience is, the requirement for thriving and surviving in these new times. RealWear is very proud to be focused on driving the most essential enterprise element, the first line, frontline worker for that value, where we help them engage, empower, and elevate their performance and safety going forward. And we look forward to helping you and your customers in the years ahead. Thanks for your attention today, and look forward to working with you soon.